Hey guys, Desolate Magic here, and made a little misunderestimation. That's not a word. And then I still made one. I said, I don't know if this is all the spoilers or not, or if the rest are coming out tomorrow. Turns out I was off by 135. So if you think that I'm going to sit here and cover 135 cards, you are damn wrong. I got a whole plate of discount Walgreens jalapeno poppers, and I want to just dig into them. And honestly, they're cooling off right now, so like we're going to race through this. So this is the rest of the Masters 25 spoilers, Cards Desolator Actually Gives a Crap About edition. So first, Diabolic Edict. Target player sacks a creature straight up. 2 costs, instant, not double black. I love it. Gets past hexproof, indestructible. I love it. You don't get to choose the target, but I love it. Next up, Ghost Ship. Absolute classic. 2/4 flying with triple blue regenerate. Oh my god. It's not a particularly good card, I just love it. Next up, Zoetic Cavern. This card is amazing because you can use it as a land, tap for colorless, cool. Probably the first time it's been printed with the correct symbol too, by the way, so that's a little extra value there. And Morph 2. You could pay 3 and make it a face down 2/2 colorless creature. So it's like cycling, but maybe a little bit better. I mean, it's turn 14, you're like, I don't need another damn land. Okay, then drop it in as a creature. Next up, Congregate. Classic card. Target player gains 2 life for each creature on the battlefield. Now that can finally be a worthwhile amount of life to gain for 4 mana, and it's an instant. I love this. Hell, you can actually let everything through from your opponent's attack, and then just cast this. Cool, absorb it, counterswing, win. Next up, Quicksand. I love this card because it's okay, it's a land, cool, comes in untapped, cool, colorless, alright. And then if you want, you just tap it, 0 mana, sacrifice it, and target attacking creature without flying gets -1, -2 until end of turn. So they always know it's there. It's a swing deterrent. If they forget about it, that's even better. It's so good. I'd say it's about on par with Blighted Fen, and that card was amazing. Next up, from my overlooked but awesome series, Borrowing 100,000 Arrows. It's some kind of reference to something that happened. That's the best I can do for details. Anyway, it's 3 mana, sorcery, and draw a card for each tapped creature target opponent controls. Okay, on average, it costs 1.5 mana to draw a card, just for baseline spells. Like Dragonlord's Prerogative, Divination, you look it up, that's how much it costs. There are better ones, but they either cost so much mana or they force you to like discard a card or just do something. There's some downside. This could very, very easily be 2 cards for 3 mana, which is perfectly acceptable, or 3, or 4, or 5, or 6, or 7, or 8, or 9, or 10 cards. You could just about draw your whole damn deck with this. Now, the downside is it is conditional, obviously, but, I mean, if they're swinging at you, doesn't that mean they're kind of winning? So you want a whole bunch of cards? Next up, one of the most important cards from my personal modern deck called Seal Team 6. Look it up. It is amazing. That deck is astonishingly good. It's Infect if Infect wasn't fragile garbage. Also, it replaces Infect with Double Strike. The whole deck's Double Strike. It's a win on turn 4 deck. I love it. So this is a double striking 1/1 for 2. There is nothing else like this in the entire game. Oh, except for Adorned Pouncer. So up until very recently, there was nothing like this in the entire game. Speaking of that, I should probably redo the deck. Do not underestimate this. You give it equipment, you give it an aura, you give it a temporary boost, you give it a field bonus, anything. Do anything to this and it will single-handedly win the game. This card is amazing. Hey, speaking of cards that are in my other deck, God's Willing. I'm pretty sure they made the final cut. So, as an instant, 4/1, target creature you control. Do not screw that up. So many people played that wrong. Target creature that you control gains protection from the color of your choice until the end of turn, scry 1. Also, when you cast this, if they want to respond to it, you do not have to name the color until resolution time. That almost never is a thing, but just don't do it. It'll throw your opponent off a little bit to be like, wait, what? You don't have to specify? Then they'll like think twice about what they're doing. And like if they put a lightning bolt on the stack above this, but then, I'll choose red. Well, it's too late. It's already gone. But I don't know. Depends how well they know the rules. So anyway, you can make a creature effectively unblockable. Like if all they have is red permanents, then they're creatures and you can swing right past them. They can't block. It cannot take damage from a red source then if you pick red. Let's see, just look it up. Look up how protection works. It's a whole thing. But you get to scry 1. So you could save a creature from destruction or end the game by killing them, basically. So this card is amazing for 1 mana. And also there's like 3 or 4 redundant versions of this, like Blessed Breath. Oh, not in this set, just in Magic and in Modern. Next up, just good old-fashioned super boots. Bro, those Yeezys are straight fire. So 2 costs to get it out, 1 to equip it, which is dirt cheap, and then equipped creature has hexproof and haste. It is designed to have a low equip cost because you just cast a creature, you want to give it haste. Also, hexproof. Now, they could destroy it in response to you trying to equip, but, you know, whatever, can't have it all. This is an insurance policy for your best creature in boots form. Next up, did you know that they could make a slightly more powerful version of Death Touch? This is it. Because remember how, like Afflict, I guess you could say, is like a weaker version of Trample in some cases. They make weaker and better versions of different mechanics, and this is super Death Touch, okay? Loyal Sentry. When Loyal Sentry blocks a creature, destroy that creature and Loyal Sentry. It doesn't have to actually do the damage. Now, it doesn't play around Indestructible, but it does play around Hexproof, which honestly, Death Touch would kill anyway. It's just, this happens a little bit earlier. Just, oh, it became blocked. Destroy both of them. Now, I'd say Death Touch is better because if you had a 1/6 Death Touching wall, then maybe it would survive, wherein this would not. But it's a 1/1 for 1. I mean, of course a 1/1 for 1 with Death Touch is not going to survive. By the way, if you do give him Indestructible, he will survive. Next up, the original. This is not Rogue's Gloves. This is not that other one that does this. Curiosity. 1 cost blue aura enchant creature. When it deals damage to an opponent, draw a card. Classic. This is better than that Stealer of Secrets. This is better than anything. This is the original right here. This card can single-handedly let you outdraw your opponent 2-1 for 1 mana. I mean, you cannot understate how good this card is. Next up, the absolute beast, the monster of the Theros block, Nyx Fleece Ram. At the beginning of your upkeep. In the last take, I may or may not have said at the beginning of your life. It's a little bit of a funny aftershock there. Anyway, at the beginning of your upkeep and your life, you gain 1 life. Also, it's a 0/5 for 2. So this stalls out the game while also giving you a boatload of life. This thing is amazing, and I always played this with life gain triggers. This was in one of the most obnoxious decks I've ever built in my entire life called Just Scoop already. It may or may not be posted on this channel. I don't think it actually is. It was a trolley deck. 5 color, but not really. Life gain, super gain with 2 outs, 2 win conditions, and that was it. And if you stopped them, the game's never going to end. This was in it, and this card was awesome. Speaking of cards from around that time, I think this was Theros, Ordeal of Heliod. Can you tell I'm not looking any of these up or the prices? Because honestly, they all kind of look like crap and whatever. Most of them aren't rares. I'll do an EV video later. So Ordeal of Heliod, enchant creature for 2. When it attacks, put a 1/1 counter on it, so every single time, but then if it has 3 or more counters, so the 3rd time you swing unless you put other counters on it, at that point you sacrifice it and gain 10 life. Now, it is a separate trigger. It says when you sacrifice Ordeal of Heliod, you gain 10 life. So if you have another way to sacrifice it, either they make you do it or you do it, you still gain 10 life. I assume so. I mean, the correct way to write that would be whenever you sacrifice Ordeal. So I'm not 100% sure on that ruling, but once again, not enough time to look it up. I gotta get eating these poppers. Okay, I ate like half the plate already. Okay, next up, gotta feature a card for a little different reason here. Path of Peace. 4 cost sorcery, destroy target creature, its owner gains 4 life. That's it. This card is beyond garbage. Why they chose this, I have no idea whatsoever. I don't know what the hell's set symbol that is, but I guess the rest of the set was crap and they put this in. I don't know. Maybe they just needed a control spell. I wouldn't draft this if it was the last card. I would literally just like illegally pass it to the person next to me. Just kidding. Any kind of destruction for 4 honestly is like not that bad in limited. But it is amazing how bad some of these cards are that I'm skipping over. Just, you don't even know unless you go look yourself. It is so bad. Next up, Swords to Plowshares. This is kind of like Path to Exile, except actually good, because giving your opponent a land puts them ahead 3 turns, and that is the stupidest thing you could ever possibly do, especially in Modern. It is the #1 most misplayed card in Modern. People will lose the game by playing that. There are times and situations to use it, and there are times and situations to not use it, and people are so bad at identifying it, it is shocking. But this one exiles target creature as an instant, its controller gains life equal to its power, which, I mean, if it's a 9/9, cool, at least you're not getting hit by it. But if it's like if it's a 0/6, I mean, great, they gain nothing. So not that big of a drawback, and it's instant speed. I mean, this is just a damn good card. It's a shame it's not legal in Modern. Hey guys, what would happen if you took like the board game Monopoly and mixed it with Survivor and then made it into a magic card? That would be Browbeat. It costs 3, and any player may have Browbeat deal 5 damage to him or her. If nobody does though, target player draws 3 cards. This is literally a blue effect with a blue effect. Why the hell is this a red card? Anyway, someone's got to take one for the team. So, like, why this is in a non-multiplayer format? I mean, unless you're going to draft it and go 4-player, which is more of a conspiracy thing. I don't know. This is a commander card. This is specifically a multiplayer commander card. It is flippin' hilarious. So anyway, against just one opponent, though, they either take 5 damage with 3 mana, which is, pretty good, or they give you 3 cards, which is probably going to deal them more than 5 damage. So this is just a good card. But anyway, in multiplayer, the politics of this, just people trying to convince each other and make deals on the side and agreements and oh my gosh. Next up, Enthralling Victor. I'm not throwing this in because it's particularly good or expensive. I just think it's an example of a good-looking man on a card. Don't misinterpret that. Remember how everybody's like, oh, Magic is so misogynistic, it's just nothing but, scantily clad women with large chests. Well, here you go. The guy's basically wearing a loincloth. Happy now? If Wizards thinks that women are going to be like, well, I'm not really into Magic because it's like 99% male players and it's highly competitive and it just kind of became a guy's thing because Wizards kind of marketed it to guys. They did it that way. That's 100% they're doing. So I'm not that into it. And then like all of a sudden they just like their eyes catch this card and they're like, hello there. Maybe I will play Magic. That is a fantasy, okay? No woman is that stupid. Oh, I'm completely opposed to this hobby and have no interest in it. Oh, look, an attractive male. Suddenly I'm going to play this card game. Let me just flip that on its head for a second because as ridiculous as that sounds, people believe the inverse, which isn't really the inverse, it's the exact same damn thing. People said, oh, wizards used to be edgy. They used to have like women with cleavage and stuff, and now they're all dressed this way. And they shouldn't do that. That's wrong. I think they should go back to, stop being prudes, and they should go back to the way it was like 15 years ago where they would just print anybody. And guys want to look at good-looking women on the artwork. I don't care if it's a damn stick figure holding a sword drawn in MS Paint, okay? If it's a fun, fair card that's interesting and goes in my deck and I like it and it's fun to play and the meta is fun and there's not one dominant net deck and control didn't go absolutely berserk, if I can actually play the game and have fun, I don't give a crap what's on the artwork. And any guy who plays the game and says, oh, well, I'm one of the people that wants attractive-looking women on my cards because I like to look at that, because I'm so macho. Screw you pervert. You're a pig. You're the type of person that the SJWs that constantly whine about everything are actually making a point about in one tiny case. Like, if that's you, you're like, I'm not going to play the game unless there's, like half-dressed women in it. I'm just not going to do that. Does this apply to all products in your life? All services, all vendors, everything? You just walk into Taco Bell, look around for a second, you're like, somebody better show me some titties or I'm out of here. It's not about the tacos, it's about the women. I got to have attractive women in everything I do all the time. And I do get on board the whole that is very disrespectful to women. It does objectify them to an extent. I think people who complain about it take it way too far. But oh no, is that news to you? SJWs like to exaggerate a little bit. The hell is this video even about? Anyway, I'm making a point. Don't be that pervy guy. Don't be like, I like this playmat because look at this half-dressed woman. Ha ha ha. I don't care if there's 11-year-olds here and that's wholly inappropriate. Oh, it's driving women away because it's like me objectifying women? I don't care because I like this. Okay, fuck off. Like, get the hell out of the game. You're disgusting. Anyway, next up we got a big-ass ghost bear. Check this son of a bitch out. This is a 2/2 for 1, and when it becomes the target of a spell or ability, sack it. Okay, it's an illusion. No surprise, that's what they do. So why is this so special? I mean, yeah, it's a 2/2 for 1, that's cool, but it has a giant downside, right? Well, they're probably targeting it with a kill spell, and if they're not, they're probably too stupid to realize they could target it with a boost spell or like a planeswalker ability, and it would still die. But anyway, this is significant because there are almost 0, I am not kidding, there are almost 0 creatures in the entire game of Magic in the 24,000 or so unique cards that were printed that have blue as their only color and have their attack power be a higher number than their cast cost. I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of like 10 to 30 cards. And every single one of them has a massive downside, except for 2, if I'm not mistaken. One is Tromokratis, the other is Goliath Sphinx. That's it. And every single other one, it has something in the way. It has to flip first, or it has to do this, or it can only block this type of creature, or just whatever. Like, they all have some kind of downside, except for those two. Very interesting fact, too, because it's astonishing that would be the case. So this is a classic example of the attack power being double what the cast cost is, which that is unheard of just about. I mean, Frostwalker is one of the only ones I can think of. I know there's more, but obviously blue is not known for its attack power. So that's why this card is so insanely good, except in draft where you're not going to be stuck at blue. But if you're playing just blue, 2 for 1 is absolutely crazy. Do keep in mind that you can't target this yourself either. If you do, it will die. That would be bad. Next up is a wonderful way to get all of your mountains killed, but anyway, it's a 1-cost aura. You have to enchant a mountain. So you pay 2, and the target mountain that you've been attached to becomes a 6/1 red spirit creature until the end of turn. It's still a land. Holy crap. You could do this on turn 3. So when Enchanted Mountain is put into a graveyard, you may return Genju of the Spiders from your graveyard directly to your hand. That'll be fun. So good luck chump blocking against the 6/1 multiple times. That's a little rough. But also good luck playing with all of your mountains destroyed. So dangerous card, but very interesting. I mean, it's a 6/1 for 1, kind of. Next up, one of the absolute powerhouse cards from the Tarkir block. It is Eider Shaman. Oh, pardon me, Eider Shawoman. Jeez, get it right, wizards. Anyway, this has Menace. It's a 2/1, so it's all right. I mean, it'd be annoying to try to block it, and 2 damage ain't no joke. But also Mega Morph 1, okay? So if you put it face down as a morph for 3, you can flip it back up at any time for 1, put a 1/1 counter on it, so now it's a 3/2 with Menace, which is already insane. And when it's turned face up, exile the top card of your library until end of turn you may play that card, and it only took 1 mana to Mega Morph it anyway. So you probably have the mana, and also if it's a land, you can just straight up play it as long as you didn't play a land already. This card is just like so much goodness all put into 1 card for 2 mana, I just couldn't leave it off the list. It is so good. Alright, next up we got Pyre Hound. This card is absolutely mental because it is only a 2/3/4/4 with trample, but when you cast an instant or sorcery spell, put a 1/1 counter on Pyre Hound. So that is like prowess, but permanent. The boost does not solely last until the end of turn. Also, enchantments and planeswalkers don't set it off. I think prowess is any non-creature. But anyway, this is good. This is a really good card, especially with trample. I mean, and high toughness. This is the perfect card. Next up, Pillory of the Sleepless. This is almost Stab Wound. Almost. Not quite, but almost. It is still pretty damn good, though. So, enchanted creature can't attack or block, so it's basically gone. And then enchanted creature has, at the beginning of your upkeep, so by your, they mean the controller of that creature, you lose 1 life. So throw it on your own creature, I guess, if you want to purposely lose life really inefficiently, or throw it on their creature. And then not only is the creature a useless potato that they may have to waste a removal spell to get rid of, but it's going to drain away 1 life per turn. So 1 life isn't amazing, but it's not nothing. I mean, for 3 mana, it's basically a 3 mana removal spell with an incredibly good curse effect, basically. So I love this card. Next up, one of the most trolliest troll cards that's ever been trolled, Twisted Image. For 1 mana in blue, you can switch target creature's power and toughness until end of turn. Your creature, their creature, doesn't matter. If it's a 0/6, congratulations, it just died. Oh, by the way, draw a card. This is a cantrip. This card is crazy. This is basically a 1-cost removal spell in blue. Also, it's a cantrip. I mean, you can't get a spell much better than this. Next up, a very underappreciated card that's already been reprinted before, Soul Bright Flamekin. Alright, so check this out. 2/1 for 2. Already okay. Then you pay 2, no tap, nothing, and target creature gains trample until end of turn. So that's nice. I mean, a trample outlet that's multiple costs, non-colored cheap. It's not bad. But if this is the 3rd time that this ability is resolved this turn, you may add 8 red mana to your mana pool. Remember, you just spent 6 doing this. So as long as you can come up with 6, you get all of your mana back plus 2, except that it's red. So, Fireball, Rolling Thunder, Burn from Within, anything. Just dump it into anything. Just summon an 8-cost dragon. You got 8 mana, do something with it. And also 3 creatures you have gain trample. Or if the game's not going so great, the same creature 3 times. Either way, this is so good. Now it doesn't even say target other creatures, so you can give this trample. Unfortunately, it doesn't work on the 6th time, otherwise that would literally be a self-contained infinite loop, and that would be idiotic. You can do so much crazy crap, but primarily I would say what you do with this is just win the game. It's just too much damage. Next up, a card that is actually shockingly better than Fretwork Colony, one of the best cards in Standard right now. Lorescale coatl or coatl or koala, I don't know. It's a snake. Just call it a damn snake. That's what it is, for God's sake. Whenever you draw a card, you may put a 1/1 counter on Lorescale coatl. So, at least once per turn, possibly more. This is better than Scoot Mob. I mean, this card is insane. It is completely insane. I would draft this and change my colors to play this. This card gets out of control quickly for 3 mana. I mean, you could just sit there and top deck absolute potato cards and it's still getting bigger every single turn. Next up, Boros Charm. That's right, they're reprinting it. I think this card was a mistake. It always was a mistake. It was horrible in Standard, and honestly, it's pretty damn annoying in Modern, because for 2 mana, you can choose one. Deal 4 damage to target player, so 4 for 2 is an instant. I mean, that's already really pushing it. Permanents you control gain indestructible until the end of turn. Congratulations, this is basically a freaking green-blue spell. I mean, what the hell? That is so not red, and it's barely white. Or, target creature gains double strike until end of turn. So, win the game, or win the game. That's the way I read this. I hate this card. I hate everything about this card. You know what's even worse? I think last time I checked, it's like $2. This card is overpowered. It is going way too far with modal choice, way too far as an instant, way too far as a 2 cost. It's across the board too powerful of a spell. So not only is it worthless, like value-wise, but also you aren't going to be playing these 2 colors in draft. Just that's how every single mixed color card works. It's like, oh look, 2 colors I'm not playing. Wow, great. Next up, oh yeah, we got my bro from, I want to say Shadows might be Eldritch, don't care. Uncaged Fury. Target creature gets +1/+1 and gains double strike until end of turn. That's a fun combo because just read that as +2/+1 and first strike. And it's only for 3. It's an ambush, it's single red, double generic, which is really flexible, and instant speed, no sorcery. This is just a damn good card. It's just an example of, it's not overpowered, it's not unfair, it's not insane, it's not confusing, it's not situational, it's just, here, have a bunch of damage for 3 as an instant. Classic ambush, classic utility card, I love it. Next up, if you thought Lightning Helix was the stupidest, most outrageously overpowered, crazy-ass mixed card, Blightning. I present to you 3 damage to target player, that player discards 2 cards, okay? All I gotta say about this is Mind Rot costs 3. It's a shame when you get this in the draft pack, you are absolutely not playing black-red. The sheer probability of that, it's just mixed cards are just worthless cards in the draft. They're completely worthless. Now with 8 people at the table, is it eventually going to hit somebody who is playing those colors? That is the question. But when you like open a pack and you're like, oh look, it's a shame I can't cast it. That's how mixed colors work. It's a shame, but that's how it works. Next up, Fallen Angel. Did I not call this ahead of time when it was sort of accidentally leaked? Maybe, I don't know. Honestly, Shivan's not in here that I've seen yet, so I'm still going to say I was right, even though I'm provably not. But this is a very iconic card, so of course it's going in not iconic masters. It's a 3/3 flyer for 5, and sacrifice a creature. Fallen Angel gets +2/+1 till end of turn, so that's a damn lot of damage in the air. Always has been, always will be. Next up, you knew it was coming. You knew it. All the way from Rivals of Ixalan, Ravenous Chupacabra. Honestly, it is that damn good of a card. I mean, like, Noxious is a little bit better, but this is a very good card. It's a 2/2 for 4, and when it enters the battlefield, you choose your choice of target creature an opponent controls and destroy it. I mean, that is just damn good. And next up, one of my personal all-time favorite cards. I love this, coming in from my banana deck and a whole bunch of other decks that I built. I do own 4 foil copies of this. Ruthless freaking Ripper. It's a Death Touch 1/1 for 1, so classic, card, very common tactic. But you can morph it for 3, of course, 2/2, everybody knows Morphworks, but you can unmorph it, in my opinion, even though that's not how you call it. Reveal a black card from your hand. That's it. That's the cost. So just, hey, look, a black card. Flip it up. Boom. 1/1 Death Toucher. What's up? And the best thing is, Until you need to ambush them, you're hitting for double the damage. This is such a good card. It's like a 2/2 creature for 3, so okay, whatever. But then it's also like a removal spell just waiting. It's basically a Yu-Gi-Oh! Trap card, and you know every time I flipped it I said you've activated my trap card. Not to imply that she's a man or anything. Next up, coming in from probably Alpha, Will-o'-the-Wisp. I just remember playing this in Chandelar, and holy crap. This is the Eternal Blocker from Hell, okay? It's a 0/1 flyer without defenders, so you can do some creative stuff with it, and you can regenerate it for 1 mana. For 1 mana, this is going to be on the battlefield forever. Just, you cannot kill this damn thing. It is like a mosquito. I hate this card, but I also love it. Next up, one of the absolute best cards from BFZ, Zulaport Cutthroat. When this card itself or another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. This is so annoying. Even when they're winning, they're losing, and this card is amazing. I love it. And next up, we've got one of the most ban-worthy cards in all of Modern, Rancor. If you've never heard of it, see if this sounds fair to you. For 1 mana, you can enchant a creature. It gets +2 attack and trample for 1 freaking mana. And when this card is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, return it to its owner's hand. So in other words, for 1 green mana, pretty much every creature for the rest of the game gets +2 in trample. That's really fair and balanced for 1 mana. That's just fantastic. Graveyard clearing can't even get rid of this. It's just, this card is impossible. This card needs to be banned. I hate everything about this card, and this actually pretty much just single-handedly ruined the entire draft. If somebody has this card in their deck, they basically have twice as powerful of creatures as you. I mean, that's just on average how it would work. I hate this card. And unfortunately, we have to end on that garbage card because that's it for significant cards. So if you're about to say, oh, but you forgot this one's good too, I don't care. This is why it's called my list, not the absolute list of cards that are good and everything else is garbage. Thank God we're finally done with spoilers. I'm sick of making these videos. So I saw in the entire list of 135 that were spoiled today, basically nothing above $10. I'm sure I'm wrong because I haven't even heard of some of these cards, but it just looked like a bunch of trash to me. So good job ruining the EV, the one and only thing that people care about when buying a set, pretty much. Wizards, you're a bunch of idiots. You've now shown it for 2 sets in a row, and everybody's saying that paying even above $200 for the set would be a mistake. I heard some local gaming stores are already selling it for below $200 on pre-orders and stuff, mostly to compete with that douchebag piece of human garbage who runs Sports and More. He sold 1,000 boxes for $159. Okay, this asshole needs to be stopped. If anyone has information about who this really is, what business they're really running, anything, where their warehouse is, I don't care, anything. I want the information and I want it yesterday. Send me a DM, you can remain anonymous. I need to know who this asshole is. He's gonna have vendor, customer, and WPN member complaints so far up his ass, he won't be able to take a shit for a month when I figure out who the fuck this is. Not to mention, if you use an illegal front business and try to make it look like you're someone who you're not, because he's not fucking MVP Sports, it's not who he is. I think the IRS might be interested in that, because that just looks an awful lot like a money laundering front, doesn't it? This asshole is single-handedly ruining the entire game, the entire market, the entire product called Magic the Gathering. He is single-handedly ruining it. He's violating WPN policy, and I'm actually pretty damn sure I know who this is already. I just need confirmation. And trust me, if you're pissed off already, $159 boxes, who the fuck's supposed to compete with that? Just wait until you find out who he actually is. That's even worse. Honestly, this set could have had, like, gold-plated $1,000 cards in it and a box EV of $800 on average. He'd still be selling it for $159 and putting LGSs out of business, and making it so people like me cannot possibly make money on the set, whether we split it apart or sell it sealed. Never ever buy one single product from this piece of human garbage in your entire life. If you do, you're part of the problem and you're fucking dead to me. Oh, and I know what some of you are going to say, so let me just answer this first, too. Every single time somebody on the WPN website or social media, WPN Facebook groups, Reddit, anytime somebody asks Wizards about it, just even asks a question, it gets deleted. Wizards is covering for these people. It's this big buddy-buddy scam racket thing, and it's all just bullshit. This set was completely and utterly financially ruined the second that they let this asshole sell it. Doesn't make one damn ounce of difference what cards they put in it. Not one tiny difference. Until these fuckers get cut off by Wizards and are never allowed to sell another Magic product as long as they live, we're just gonna get this. So my official verdict on this before I even do the EV is the set is shit and you're never gonna make any money on it. Don't pay more than $160 for it. It's garbage, all the cards are worthless, and everything got devalued to shit on pre-orders because everybody has to compete with this guy who sells like 5,000 fucking boxes. That might actually be like 1/6 of the entire print run, going through this one fucking seller. So no, I'm not overreacting to this. I'm not being overly dramatic. This guy is literally ruining Magic the Gathering and putting hundreds of businesses out of business. He has personally cost me several $1,000s in losses because of his actions, and Wizards won't do a fucking thing about it. So multiple people asked me about who this person is. I'd never heard of them. You've never talked about them before. Here it is. Here's all the information you need to know about him. Does that answer your question? Because you're probably as pissed off as I am right now. So fuck this whole set. Who gives a shit what's in it? Who gives a shit what it's worth? If my vendor's gonna let me, I'm gonna cancel the whole fucking order. Fuck this.